Alright, in this video we are going to build and place all the other walls in the model, which seems like a big task, but it's really not. I want to remind you to make sure you make all of your items a component, and remind you to make sure that you make all of your items to the right size. So we are actually going to need to use the drafting in order to see this. Alright, there we go. So we have our drafting, and we are going to need to make all of these extra walls that are in our drawing that we don't have already made. So that would mean the little background wall, this one goes right here. This little wall goes right here. We've already made our door, we've already made our fireplace. We're going to make this series of walls right here. We're going to make the tiny wall here, the two walls here, and some walls back here. So let's go ahead and start with those big walls, and we're going to build all the platforms on the wall first. Now these walls are a total of 12 feet tall, and that is for our back walls, and also there's an 8-foot wall on top of this. So since this total is going to be 14, we're actually probably going to make them all 14. So let's go ahead and start up here. We're going to grab the rectangle tool. We're going to build a wall the width of this platform right here, which is 3 feet. So when I start to pull my box this way, I'm going to go 3 feet, 3 inches, and I get myself a little wall right there. And grab the push-pull tool, bring it up 8 feet, and there we go. We have that wall. Now, there was a line right here, and I can't heal that line because if I delete it, well, I could end up deleting the entire component below it, which I don't want to do. But I could, if I could delete it, I'd end up deleting part of this rectangle because I'm not editing anything in the component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the shift key. You can see me doing it down here. And I'm just going to hide. Nope. I want to hide that without hiding. I want to hide that without hiding the entire component. So I'm going to make this into a component, double click on that. Alright, I'm going to triple click on this, make it a component, make sure my settings are right, there we go. Double click so that I'm in this component, grab my eraser tool, shift and hide. And what that does is that means that there's no line there in that component. So now I'm going to go into my stairs, double click, and I can see there's still a line there. I'm going to grab my eraser tool, hold shift, and hide it. Okay? So if I had deleted that, let's go back and just delete it, I'd lose all of that architecture. But instead, I'm just going to shift and hide it. And when I click out, you'll notice that there's no line there anymore. And it's one nice smooth surface, which I like. So I am going to go ahead and grab my rectangle tool, and I'm going to build a rectangle down here. And I'm going to build that again 4 feet by 3 inches. Alright, so that is 4 foot, 3 inches. There we go. Push-pull tool, pull, and I am just going to inference the top of this and match it. So I'm just going to hover my mouse over that, it'll stick to it, and I'll go, yay, done. Now, I could make this a component, and I'm very tempted to, but you notice how when I triple click on it, I'm actually getting all of the platform. I need to be careful that I don't let that happen. So I can undo back until it is just one single surface and double click on it. And then make that a component, create, and edit component, double, right? Okay. I know this sounds silly, but in the back of my head I just realized that when I made that a component, there we go. When I made that a component, I did not make it correctly. It said glue to any, and I don't want it to glue to any, I want it to glue to none. So I'm going to do that again, double click, right click, make component, glue to none please, and stop gluing to anything. I don't like it. Create, and I'm going to double click inside the component, grab the push pull tool, and pull, and this time I'm going to inference the top of something else, and yes, again, I can inference it when it's not even in my my component. And then I'm going to just click anywhere outside this dash box to exit the component. I'm going to grab the rectangle tool and I'm going to go over here and grab somewhere near this intersection, which I know is the end of this wall. And I'm going to pull out all the way to here, and I'm going to pull down, and that's about 16 feet. So I'm going to type in 16 feet, comma, 3 inches. Push, and again, I'm going to grab my selection tool, double click on the surface, double click, there we go, double click on the surface, right click, make component, sassafrasa, glue to none, create, and glue it to none before I make it into a three-dimensional object. So again, I'm going to grab the push-pull tool, grab that surface, and I'm going to rotate so that I can pull it and match it to here. I'm going to do the same thing with this wall over here. Selection tool, exit out, grab this, make it 4 foot by 3 inches, push, selection tool, double click, make component, glue to none, replace selection with component, create, double click to enter the component, P for the push pull tool, and match it to the other one. Selection tools, click outside the box, double click, click to select, and grab the move tool, grab the rotate tool, grab the base, grab a handle, and swing it. Also, I'm going to double click to get into this, grab the eraser tool, and erase that extra line. I bet that extra line occurred because of something under here, it hit the edge of that, so I am going to make sure that that line doesn't carry over. Okay, so I'm gonna selection tool and click outside that box, and now I've done those big walls. So that's one way we can do this, is to just go ahead and basically trace where the walls are and build them directly on the floor and group them each time. Now, excuse me. And that technique, excuse me. All right, and that technique does work better for these back walls. And that's because the way that they're built means that they're really tall, they're out in the middle of nowhere, they're necessary to place correctly where they are, they're based on other architecture, aka the stairs, that kind of thing. So they're a little more specific. However, these other walls aren't necessarily so. Specifically, these ones right here. So if we look at our drafting, drafting. If we look at our drafting, those walls are right over here on page 1. We have a 4-foot wall, a 1'6" wall, a 4-foot wall, a 2-foot wall, a 1'6" wall. And they're just 90-degree angles from one another, nice and happy, very easy to do. So that means we can build them a lot easier just on the ground than we can by making them individually. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to kind of zoom out and push out all the way here to the green. Pause until that noisy thing passes. And I'm going to grab the rectangle tool, and I'm going to start with one wall. Let me look and make sure. Sure, why not? I'm going to start with one wall this way, and I'm going to do 4 foot 3 inches. Whoops, 4 foot, comma 3 inches. There we go. And then I'm going to build a wall going back this way that's 1'6" by 3 inches. And then I'm going to build another one going this way that's 4 foot by 3 inches. Actually, I'm going to build that one going the other way. This one should go this way. If I do it this way, I get a double overlap, and then this little wall isn't 1'6" anymore, it's smaller. So I'm going to go this way. I'm going to make it 4 feet 3 inches by 3 inches, comma 3 inches, comma 3 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to do this one again, going back. Going back. 1'6", comma 3. And now, so it's 4 foot, 1'6", 4 foot. Oh, that should be 2 foot, not 1'6". So I'm actually just going to add another 6 inches on that. So it's going to be 6 inches, comma 3. And then I'm going to add that last 1'6" in there. And again, I'm going to make sure it goes up like that. 1'6", inches, comma 3. That way it doesn't cut off the size of this 2-foot wall. And you can see what I mean. If I, right here, it is 2 feet, as opposed to if I'd pulled in, it would have been 3 inches shorter than that. So I'm gonna grab the eraser tool, and I'm just gonna heal this surface. I'm gonna make this one nice, continuous, even surface on the floor, okay? Then I'm gonna grab the push-pull tool, and I'm gonna pull that up the requisite amount, which is 11 feet, as it says right here. I'm gonna pull that up 11 foot, okay? I'm gonna hit the space bar, and I'm gonna triple click on this wall, right click and say make component. Now I'm gonna make this a component before I try and take it onto my platform, and I'm gonna do it as if I just made it outside a file, copy and pasted it into this model. So I'm gonna hover over this endpoint, grab that point, and make sure that point gets right on this edge right here. Click, and then I'm gonna rotate this into place. Right? Oh, I think I made this wrong. Oh, I did. Look at that, I made it completely wrong. I made it completely wrong. I made it completely mirrored to what I needed to make it as. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go to, first of all, I'm gonna go bring out my large tool set, because all I have is my getting started tool set that I've been using on a bunch of these tutorials. And that doesn't have the thing I want. And I'm gonna grab the scale tool right here. And then I'm gonna flip this. I'm gonna grab the center one on the side, pull it, I'm gonna type -1 to make sure I'm mirroring it exactly opposite. And then I'm going to, now that I've nicely covered my mistake, I'm gonna grab this corner and match them up. I'm gonna grab the rotate tool, make sure I've got the blue surface, click that corner. I'm gonna zoom out so I can see, and then rotate that into place. And although I embarrassingly built that backwards, it was mighty easy to fix, right? Awesome. I've got another one over here that I need to span this distance between these two items. So there's another thing I could do. I could go ahead and grab my selection tool, and I could double click on this to edit the component. And then I could go ahead and make this wall 12 feet tall, comma 3 inches. And then I'm going to push pull, and I'm going to pull it until it meets this wall right here. Now we have a little bit of a problem, right? Because it doesn't meet that guy exactly. So I can either gently move it until it meets that guy, which is what I'm going to do. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and undo selection tool and click out, because it'll be easier for me to make a wall that's 1'6", comma 3 inches. Push pull and make that 11 feet. And then triple click, make a component, grab the move tool. Oh, I said make a component. Hit the move key, grab it, move it over here, and now it'll be easier for me to adjust this little piece instead of trying to add to that big piece that's on that other one. So I'm going to do that. Now, in theater, that's probably fine, but what I can also do is I'm going to then grab this door with this archway, this big archway here, grab the rotate tool, click over here, and then click here and push it to that edge. And there we go. So we have just a few more walls to build, but they're all off the platform. They're all down here. And so some of them are real easy, and you're looking at where it might be easier to build them inside the component. So this one right here, I'm going to double click on this door, and then I'm going to go ahead and build a wall that is the same height here, and it's 10 feet by 3 inches. Push pull tool, and I'm going to pull it out until it's at the right distance. And the reason I think doing that is a little easier for that particular wall is because I don't have to deal with extra edges. If I add in another piece directly up against it, I might end up seeing that line at 3 inches, and then I'd have to hide it. So I'm going to avoid that by going ahead and making a wall like that. Now over here, we have something similar. I am going to, however, go back because these things are sitting a little higher than they need to be, but we'll fix that in a second. I'm going to go ahead and go up to View, Hidden Geometry, and click. And then I'm going to make this guy unhidden so that we can actually see him. I am, however, going to hide our ground plan. You know what? No, I'm not. I'll leave that on, and I'll just move it. So I'm going to move, and while I still have the ground plane selected, I'm going to select that point right there. And I'm going to zoom out until I can be sure that I'm moving up and down, and only up and down. And I'm going to set it right there on the bottom of that step. So now the ground plane is actually on the floor instead of before it was floating right on the top of the platform. And I need to make sure that when I do that, I move it on the blue axis. Now you can see what I was talking about, that the fireplace and the doorway are actually floating in the middle of the air. So I'm going to go ahead and click on them, grab a point, and make sure I'm moving up and down. You see how I'm moving way back there, red direction is sideways, green direction is this way. I want to make sure that I'm moving in the blue direction. I'm going to go ahead and hold shift so that I'm sure that the only place I'm moving is in the blue direction. Then I'm going to go down until it says that it's intersecting the plane below it. So now it's definitely sitting on the floor. And the reason I did that is because I want to see how all these steps interact with this wall right here. And I want to go ahead and make a wall that is right here. Now I know that's a weird thing to do, to just make a triangle, but what I did was I clicked on that edge and then connected it to the top of my wall. So now I can grab a rectangle tool and I'll have something better to, well, evidently it doesn't want to be happy with me, so I'm going to push pull, and I'm going to push out 3 inches, and I'm going to, oh, there we go, I'm going to grab the rectangle tool and I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to pull up and I'm going to click here. I'm going to grab the push pull tool and I'm going to push that back 3 inches, and now I'm just going to take the eraser tool and I'm going to heal that surface. It doesn't matter that it was once composed of 2 triangles, it's now a complete surface. I want to make sure that this next wall that I draw is off of the platform on the floor. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pull this wall out another 3 inches. Boop. Pull this wall out another, no? It will not let me pull that wall out another 3 inches. So I'm going to grab a rectangle, and I'm going to make another rectangle on top of it and pull that out 3 inches. Won't let me do that either. It's being very neat. I'm going to grab the line tool, build a line down here, straight down on the face of that object. Grab the push-pull tool. You know what? That is just minutely not in the right place. And that's why it won't let me pull. And that's why it won't let me make a new surface, and that's why it won't let me come to the party at all. So what isn't necessary, however, is me actually making a wall that connects with that one. I just need to make sure this front edge connects. So I'm going to make one that goes from that very point down to the front, and that looks like it's 3 foot 11 and 5/16 inches. So that's close enough to 4 inches for me to be happy. So I'm going to go 3, 4 feet, enter, nope, the other way. 4 foot, 3 inches from that point. 4 foot, 3 inches from that point. Grab the push-pull tool and bring it up. Now I'm pretty sure these are not the same height, or at least they're not supposed to be. I'm going to double check on my measurements at the moment. Yeah, see how they're not supposed to be the same height? They're supposed to be 10 feet, but not on the platform of 10 feet. So I'm going to undo that and then pull them up 10 feet. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and grab the eraser tool and heal this surface, and the reason it needs that line is because of the step. And then I'm going to grab the line tool and such complicated matters. I am going to end up going ahead and building a wall off here that's 4 feet, 3 inches. Grab the push-pull tool, make it 10 feet, and now I have a perfectly made wall. The problem I'm encountering on this guy is that, grab the move tool, stick this front corner right on this edge back here, the bottom. There we go. And the problem I'm encountering is that because the steps aren't quite perfect, it's giving me errors where it won't let me make perfect geometry on top of it. So I'm just going to make that geometry somewhere else and set it into place. Now normally I would go ahead and stop this video and fix all those mistakes that I just made, but I'm going to show you that sometimes you're going to encounter weird things. You're going to encounter things that don't make sense, you're going to encounter things that won't let you do things the way you normally do them, and you're going to have to change your plan of action. It's just how that works. I'm going to make this the same way I made the other side, which is to go ahead and make a 3-inch rectangle the whole height of that wall, which would be 10 feet by 3, and then pull it out until it matches the floor plan. I'm going to hit the space bar for the selection tool and click out, and there's only one more wall I need to build, and that would be a masking wall right here or a masking wall for that. But I am not even going to worry about those because we're going to be able to see through them in the next part of our project. If you guys have any other questions, you can let me know. You can see over here what I was talking about before, where if I put 2 components right next to each other, I'm going to end up seeing all those lines. So what I'm going to do is actually just double click here to be in that component, grab my push-pull tool, see if I can push it to the back of that wall. Much better. Now I only see one line, and also that line is not very easy to see, so I'm much more happy with that line. And that's all I'm going to do for today.